Welcome to this very special edition of The Author's Voice with KJ, a show where we explore the stories behind the stories. Here we dive into the worlds created by authors, discover their inspirations, and ensure that you, our audience, walk away enriched and inspired. And today we have with us author Roxie Fiste. She is a children's book author and illustrator from Ohio. She enjoys developing new characters for her stories, sparking the creative juices in create children's imagination. Welcome to the show, Roxie.
Thank you for having me, AJ.
You are welcome. Welcome to the Author's Voice with KJ. And today we'll be talking about your book, that is upcoming book, Ali and the Ganderwat. So tell us a bit about, this is your newest book available, which will be coming out soon. So tell us a bit about this book. Why this book? What is this book all about?
Well, this is picking up from the first book. This is part of a series, and it's about a little puffball, and he struggles to control his bounce. And in this story, we find out what all he gets into trying to learn and teach himself how to control his bounce, and he's not good at all at that. So then he has to overcome some fears and ask for help. And then the story goes from there. So it's a lot of fun for kids, especially if they like doing things on their own without supervision, this sort of thing. And it might have parents too who have a child who likes to do things themselves.
Absolutely. So, Roxy, for those people who do not so say perhaps know you or your books, tell them in that backdrop a bit about you, your book, your latest book, so that they know. Okay, this is an episode. This is who Roxy is. This is what she writes. This is her. These are some of the books she has written. This is the latest book.
Yes. I've grown up in a typical family and always enjoyed doing my artwork and writing, but I never got the chance to publish until the last 2 years. So it was a dream that I've always had to go ahead and put those stories into a book and with illustrations. Um, to explain to kids, various fun, adventurous um, ideas, things that might trigger their imaginations and get them looking at their own creativity at some point. So that was the goal. And I don't know, I've really enjoyed it. Being able to create the stories and then see it all come together as it's being formatted into the book. So this is what I really have dreamed of doing all my life.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can understand that. And now, in terms of writing, what inspired? If someone were to ask, okay, even the cost of repeating, uh, what inspired you to write? What inspired you to get into children's book? There could be other genres which could be much more profitable or much more, lucrative for you.
Yes, yes. Um, well, the reason, I mean, I took it in college. I took creative writing in college, and I really got the bug then. In high school, I had developed a little short story picture book for an art class, and I loved it. And then when I got to college, I developed the story more, and I thought I would really like to do this kind of work. But I had at the time submitted it to the wrong publishing house. It was these people didn't do anything for children, so it was like, okay, try again. Um, but by then, life got in the way, and I didn't get a chance to do that until the last few years. And now the bug is back, and and I love to just build my stories, yeah, for kids. I found that writing for kids is more challenging than if you say do a novel or a self-help book or something like that, and those would probably sell better. But children, they deserve to have fun, and learn, and you want to have a good story that draws them in and gives them the opportunity to explore their imagination. And that was my big thing, imagination.
Imagination. So tell us a bit about Ali's character. How does that help children's imagination? How did you come on across the Ali's character? And now you have this new book, uh, Ali and the Ganderwat. Who is Ganderwat?
The Ganderwat is a great big giant critter. He's just a he's a lumbering creature. He's as big as a tree, and Allie is scared to death of him. Allie is a little puffball, which that doesn't explain much, does it? But he's a little round creature with two legs, and he's always getting into trouble because he just can't help himself, and he's um, learning, trying to teach himself how to bounce correctly and maintain control. And he doesn't do a very good job, and he ends up needing the help of a Ganderwat, which he's terrified of. So it makes for a real predicament there.
Of course, of course. So, what's the key message, insights that you want to convey through this particular book of yours? And I understand it's for kids, but is it for also for grown-ups?
Well, I think grown-ups would get a kick out of it. Um, as Allie is trying to do things himself, there are a lot of kids who like to do things themselves, no matter what the age, and sometimes they can make terrible messes, which is typical. It's normal. And I think that might draw a parent in to want to read it to their child. But then the child or Allie is convinced to ask for help after he's had multiple hiccups and misadventures, I would put them that way. And then he ends up asking his dad to help him because his dad's very good at bouncing. But then he ends up in worse trouble because he still can't control his bounce. So enter the Ganderwat, who helps him overcome fear, which is one of the big parts. Like sometimes we have to do things that cause us to step back and say, I don't want to do this, I'm afraid. But in the book, he realizes, okay, some things are worth facing the fear over and learning from that. So, and that was the big part of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, when is this book coming out?
Well, I was been in touch with the publisher. I just saw the most recent layout. It is almost ready to go be, to market. So I'm hoping in the next month, 6 weeks at the most. I'm hoping.
6 weeks, 6 weeks at the most, and I'm sure it will come out soon. But and you don't maybe not even have the copy, but if what we talked, you have the manuscript. Any particular thing, any particular lines, chapter, paragraph that you would want to read out for the listeners, for the potential readers who would want to gain some insight into your book.
Sure. Let me see which would be the most fun. This is the part where Ali is sitting beside a stream near his home, and he's just so frustrated because he can't control his bounce, or he wants to. And he looks at his little brother who's come to sit with him, and they're both little puffballs. And he says, Ali looked at the rushing stream and sighed again. I want to do it by myself. Have you tried? Tanny asked. I did, said Allie, but when I tried to stop the first time, I skidded into a family of skunks. Oh no! What did Mom say? Asked Tanny. Mom made me soak in the pool by the waterfall 3 times before I could come home. Allie shook his head. Tanny giggled. So that's a little glimpse into what is happening to this little puffball who's trying to control his bounce by himself.
So in a way, Ganderwat is a good character or not so good character.
He's a good character. He's just very big and he looks a little scary to Allie. Um, the puffballs like them, the family of puffballs, the adults especially like them because they help them out of really tough situations. And since puffballs don't have arms, they call on the Ganderwats if there's any struggles or problems, that sort of thing. So, yeah, he's a good character.
He is a good character. These
Just
books, some right, right, Roxy. You saying something?
I was just saying, it's just he's scary looking to Allie, and so Allie doesn't like to be around him. So,
Absolutely. So these books, sometimes they seem easy to read. So we think it must have been also easy to write, but none of the book is so easy to write. As a writer, as an author, what challenges did you face while writing this particular book?
well, I had decided in my mind what I wanted to do with this particular book, but when I started writing, it sort of wrote itself and went in a different direction. So it was like, okay, but it made more sense by the time I got finished. And it's like the little kid takes over inside and says, okay, this is the way it should go because this happened here and this is what's going on with Allie and this is where it's going to go. So I guess I was jumping ahead of the character, but this practically wrote itself. I mean, I started and I was going one direction and then suddenly it went a different way. And I think it ended up being better than I expected. So we'll see.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, in terms of as a children's book author, how do you balance creativity with life lessons? Is it no? Why I ask this question is that people who want to learn about this particular art of writing, especially for children, how do you do that? What would you want them to remember about this part of writing?
Well, you can usually take things from your own life when you're writing. You just have to find the child deep inside of you and remember what it was like as a little kid muddling through life and trying to figure out all the things that are happening. And sometimes there are little lessons that you learn along the way that sort of work their way into your writing. It just happens, at least for me it does. And write about things you kind of know, like I used to get into all kinds of situations because of my imagination. And so I can identify with little Allie here and his desire to do things on his own, but the consequences that can happen from that. And sometimes it's okay to ask adults for help. So,
Right, right. So, as a children's book author, how do you see this trend? Is it becoming better? More and more people seem to be interested in books, children books. How do you see? Because this will give insight into the next generation of readers, children who will be coming. Because we have got now this AI coming in, and with lots of people spending time on phones.
oh, yes, I have seen a real revival coming back for reading, especially with children. There's a lot more kids being taken to the library these days so that they can have the tactile book in front of them. It's not just on the computer. And I think when the child can sit there and look at the pictures and listen while the parent reads, maybe on their lap or whatever, or in bed while they're waiting to go to sleep, it becomes a real connection um, to the parent or the caregiver, whoever it is that's doing this. And I see more kids, being read to than there was a little stretch of time where it was like books aren't important. But now it seems like there's a lot more coming out for kids. I've seen like over 1,000 books a month at one point coming out for little kids. So it's a growing new market, or it's a revamped market, I should say. So yeah, it's it's changing all the time, and finding that niche that part that you really enjoy doing, that's the trick. And if you can find where you actually your writing fits in, or your art fits in, like if you're an artist who does children's books, look at the market and see what all's out there, and then go for it.
Absolutely, go for it. And through your books, what do you want to tell the children? How should they look at the world through the eyes of Ali, or through the eyes of Ganderwat? How do you want to look at the world, which is, there's much more of climate change and so many issues that the
Right.
children may be worried about?
Yeah, well, this is more like having fun. I thought kids get overburdened these days with so much coming at them that it's just nice to relax, sit back, and enjoy a simple adventure that they might learn something from, but something good and positive, and something they can take with them for the rest of their lives. Maybe even trigger their creativity to a point where they want to do something with their lives that's a little different than what they had first thought. But for kids, just having fun, um, enjoying themselves, and just being a kid again. So, yeah, that's my goal.
Absolutely. So this will be out in 8 weeks time around. And where can do you have any information about where this book could be available? Can people from India or anywhere else, apart from the US, buy it?
Yes, I believe it should be available on Amazon all across the world when it's published. Last the last book I had did the same thing, and I think it was I sold some in India. So I'm very excited about that. It's there, um, and there will be links on Amazon when the time comes. Do you guys have a Barnes and Noble there?
I haven't seen, but it should be there. Barnes and Nobles, I
Okay.
guess it's available online also.
Right. It is available. It will be available online, um, Barnes and Noble and Amazon. And I have a website where they can go to and click on the links there, and order the book through the links. So that one's not ready yet to be ordered, but it's coming. Um, Allie's Big Adventure is available now, but Ganderwat's coming.
Wonderful, wonderful. And lastly, any message that you would want as a children's book author? Any message do you want to give to the children of today?
Use your imaginations. Hold on to that excitement, the thrill of learning something new, and never ever give up on your creativity, because you never know what you're going to create when you get older. It will be for everybody, I'm sure, at some point.
Wonderful. Today, we explored the journey of author Roxie Feist and her book Ali and the Ganderwat, and the inspirations behind her writing. If you are intrigued, don't forget to grab a copy of her book when it's out in next few weeks. Uh, that's all. And also remember Roxy's message. With this, it's a wrap. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with fellow book lovers. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories from incredible authors. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.